Hi guys. Well, okay. So actually, uh, I wanted to share you a small tutorial based on how to smoothen a face or maybe a skin um, using Photoshop. So let's make it simple. There are lots of tutorials, but I think let's make this tutorial very easy so that people don't really confuse themselves, because there are lots of filters and options that you can do, but we are not going to focus on all those things. So let's see what is the easiest and step-by-step procedure, and let's make that procedure very short and sweet so that it's going to be very easy for us to keep it in mind. So let's go get back to Photoshop, and here we have Photoshop. I hope you guys can all see the screen. So let's go to, I have already one image here, so I can start using this image. So let's say we want to smooth this girl's face, because there, if you can zoom in and see, there are some small um, you know like different contrasts, and you can see it has some sort of a noise on that skin tone. So maybe we can try to smooth this. So once we smoothen, we can see how the what do you call it, image looks. So let's get started. So first, what you have to do first in the beginning is you need to duplicate this layer. So the first thing that we are going to focus is on how to duplicate this layer. So let's click on Ctrl J. Okay, so I have one image here. This is the original one, so I can just name it as original. And here I'm going to name it as edit. Okay, so now what we have to do is, first thing, let's make it very simple. Make sure if this girl's face has any marks. Okay, any marks. For example, if I zoom in, I can see there is a small mark here and there is a small mark here. So there are so many tools. Using those tools, you can always go ahead and edit this stuff. For this example, for this tutorial, I'm going to use the spot healing tool. Okay, so this is the original layer, so let's keep this aside, so we don't need this for the moment. So we are going to edit using this image. So I'm going to select spot healing brush, that is right here on the left hand side on your toolbar. Okay, once you click, you can go ahead, and I can show you a tutorial maybe later on, just for these tools, like how you can use these tools in an easy manner. So I'm going to use the spot healing tool. All you have to do is you just have to make sure that your content aware is on, and then you just start clicking on that. So what the computer does, or the Photoshop does, is it automatically fills in with the suitable skin tone that's available around it, okay, or on this image. So let's make sure that there are no black marks. Okay, so okay, I feel that's all right. So there are nothing else to be edited, so I think it's all good. So far good. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is, now we are going to apply some filters. In order to apply some filter, we should never apply a filter directly onto the original image. So because the filter affects the entire photo, so that's going to be a problem for us, because sometimes some filters we will need it only in a particular area. So make sure when you're applying a filter, you apply the filter on a duplicate layer. So let's duplicate this. So not only Ctrl J will duplicate this layer, you can also drag it and drop it here, which means it will make another copy. So that is also another way of using a duplicate. So we are going to apply filter here, so I'm going to save this as filter. Okay, so before we add a filter, there are certain steps that we need to really follow in order to make this filter effect a success. So we need to apply some blending options for this example, because this blending option will help us when it comes to applying a filter. Okay, so the next step is you need to apply a vivid filter or blending that's here, right here. Okay, so you need to make sure you click the correct layer and then go to this blending options here and you select on vivid light. Well, this is really good. So you can see that it has a matte finishing here, which means it has a very good contrast and exposure that shows us it is totally a different image now. So actually we are not going to use this vivid light as it is. We are going to turn it the other way around, which is inverse. So in order to inverse this, you can just click on Control I. That is Control I. Okay. So once you inverse your selection, when you click on Control I, you can see what has happened. It is totally different. You can see that the vivid light option is totally different. So even if I click on Control Inverse, see, I can see it is in vivid light mode. But if I click on Control I, it just turns the other way around. So now it is the best time to apply a filter. So after you apply the vivid light, you just go to Filter, and then you need to make sure that you are under Other, and then you have High Pass. Click on High Pass. The moment you click on High Pass, can you see that I have got another pop-up box here? Okay, and this is a high pass pop-up. On this high pass pop-up, can you see if I have this in 0, there's no effect, not at all. There's no effect on this. So if I'm going to increase this too much, you can see totally wash out the image. So we don't want that actually. So we need to actually smoothen this area that's right on top of the skin. So maybe you might have a different image, so it depends on the image. So it's not mandatory that you have to always go in for the same ratio here. You can just do the settings using this slider based on your image. So what our target is, we need to make sure that these areas get smoother. So for example, if I increase this slowly, you can see that my skin gets really smooth. I hope you also can see, or you can check when you're doing this in your image. So once you're happy with some amount or whatever the radius here is, so you can see that you can click OK, and you see that the skin tone is perfectly alright. But unfortunately what has happened here is everything has like blurred out, which means we don't want everything to be smudged like this. We actually want only the face to be smooth, but here unfortunately everything has been smooth. So the high pass filter has been applied to the entire image. So if you look into the other image where the filter is not applied, you can see it's perfectly alright. But then here, once you add on to this filter, and once you turn the visibility on, you can see that the image is totally like blurred out. So how can we tell the Photoshop that we don't want the entire area for the filter to affect, but we want only certain areas of the image where we want the high pass filter to be affected? So in order to check that, we can always use another additional option called mask. I already have my tutorial that's available in my channel. You can watch it, how a mask works, maybe in simple steps. So here we can use the same option. So I'm going to click on mask. So once I click on mask, you can see there's this another thumbnail that popped up here, and it is in white, completely in white. So why have we applied a mask? Well, the reason here is, for example, this is the image where we took all the accent marks and we did a duplicate of this, and we had included that high pass filter for this image. So once we have applied a high pass filter, you can see that the effect is totally applied onto the entire image, whereas we want it only for the skin tone. So in order to apply it only for the skin tone, we have applied a mask. and that is this. That is when you click onto this mask, you can get this option right here. So now what our plan here is, I'm going to convert this the other way around. So click on the mask and just say Control I, or click on Control I, and you can see it's back to normal. So which means now the mask that we have applied is covering this filter that we have applied. Okay, so what we are going to do is, now we can use the brush tool, and we have to reset this to black and white. And as I told you in the last tutorial about mask, if you have something black here, you need to use the other way around, or the opposite brush. So here I can use the white brush, and now I can slowly select the areas or brush on the areas where I want the face to be smooth. So now you can see my face gets really smooth, because if you look at this white area, the white is visible. If I turn off this layer here, you can see that filter is visible in these areas where I'm using a brush tool to paint it in white. So when I paint it in white, the filter will be visible. So here the filter is becoming visible, and that's the reason the face is becoming smooth. So the moment this filter gets visible, this face becomes more smoother because the filter is being visible over here. So now I can just go ahead and make sure you can, shape your brush accordingly, and make sure where you want to choose the area to be smooth. So now you can see what has happened is, I'm going to turn this layer off. Now you can see I had a filter that was applied to this image, which was duplicate, and now I wanted to reveal this filter, so I had to use a mask. So now using a mask, I can reveal the areas selectively wherever I want this filter to be visible. So now it's perfectly, I can see it's perfectly alright. So maybe I can smooth these areas wherever I want. Okay. Alright, so she's now perfectly alright. So I can finish it off. Okay. So finally, once you're happy with it, now you can see the difference as how the face was before and how the face is now. So we can take a duplicate of this. This Control J. You can bring this right on top, and then you can see how the original image looked like, and you can see how the image looks after you smoothen the face. That's simple as it is. So just for a recap, you need to make sure you duplicate the image, and then you apply the blending option as vivid, and then you go ahead and invert it. Once you invert it, you go ahead and apply the filter, that is high pass filter, and then you can use a mask in order to smoothen the face. So that's it for today. So maybe I can give you some more tutorials. In order to check it, you can always log into my tab and you can see if you like it. Thank you.